demystify digital transformation for the young and everyone, I would say, for the entrepreneurs who run micro, small, medium enterprises, as well as for students and professionals. Digital transformation is not about technology alone.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Skill Valley Show. Myself Omkar, your host and host. Today we have a well-known speaker, writer, mentor, and researcher in the fields like digital transformation, strategic entrepreneurship, human capital development, and many more is Mr. Antarpreet Singh. He has a 35 years of experience with global technology companies, which includes Fujitsu, Reliance Jio, Dell Labs, and many more. Among his achievements, one of the wherewithals has to be that he was Asia Pacific head for Alcatel-Lucent University, which had 24 campuses in APAC and presence in 17 countries. As he now provides consultation and also being a consultant and a coach in digital transformation, he is also a visiting faculty in premier business schools. We will be asking him few questions which will help all the young entrepreneurs in their roadmap. So welcome, sir.
Yeah, hello, Omkar.
Sir, are you fine regarding all your health and your family's health?
Yeah, all good. Thanks. I hope you and your team are also fine. I am fine. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So shall we start with the questionnaire round, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So the first question from our side is, can you explain the concept of digital transformation to MSMEs, owners, and young entrepreneurs in simple way?
Yeah, sure, Omkar. And this is a great question. And my answer almost remains same in all the workshops and I do for MSMEs, entrepreneurs, students of digital transformation, students who have interest in strategic entrepreneurship, and professionals. And what in context of MSMEs, I would like to say that the one misconception which MSMEs carry, most of them, is that digital transformation is all about technology. So it looks very daunting to them, and most of them are they think that digital transformation will entail huge amount of investments and lot of knowledge about the contemporary digital and artificial intelligence technologies. But let me demystify digital transformation for the young and everyone, I would say, for the entrepreneurs who run micro, small, medium enterprises, as well as for students and professionals. Digital transformation is not about technology alone. Digital transformation, as we in the research we call, is multidisciplinary. In a simple terms, you can call it as a multidimensional, which means that digital transformation, of course, one of the very strong pillars of digital transformation is technology. But at the same point in time, the other pillars include the change management, changing the mindsets. That's very, very important. And collaborating, as we say, man-machine collaboration, collaborating with machines. And here the machines, when we, in context of digital transformation, machines are platforms, apps, digital tools. They include your computing machines like your laptop, your server. So being friendly with them, as if we call them as machine buddies or machine employees or machine colleagues. That's another term being used. So if you are comfortable, and this is not just the technology, but also how to collaborate, how to think creatively, how to, very, very important point is that no digital transformation recipe is unique. Same. You can't cut paste. You can't copy paste a digital transformation recipe or idea of one unit, and it's not a quick fix. It's not a magic wand. I mean, you have to create that digital transformation recipe or digital transformation plan yourself. And the moment you remove that fear from your mind, that this is not just about technology, rather, I would say the technology is similar in all the digital transformation programs. And I jokingly say in most of my talks that salt is same in all biryanis, but many biryanis taste different because they have their own recipes. And in a similar way, digital transformation, different recipes are there in different digital transformation programs. So to cut the whole argument short, digital transformation is all about creativity. It's all about your thinking. It's all about how, what kind of new ideas do you have, and then leverage technology, and then bring about a change, because we are living in a world which is complex, chaotic, and why not leverage this complexity and chaos and do something better. So digital transformation would mean a program wherein which is an integrated program of technology, of creativity, of leadership, of collaboration amongst human to human collaboration and human to machine collaboration also. So I hope my friends who are listening to me can now understand that digital transformation is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced.
Yeah, that's a good structured answer, which ended up with a bit of sarcasm. So coming back to my next question is that what's the relevance of customer experience in context of digital transformation?
Yeah, so customer experience is the key. I mean, we call this, these days we use the term connected experiences. Now, see, I mean, as a student of management also in 80s, when I completed my engineering and I completed my MBA, and we were taught about customer fulfillment, and even today we talk of customer fulfillment. And because the MSMEs and all the ventures, all the entrepreneurs, they have to fulfill customers' obligations, the contracts, or even if they are in a B2C space, still they have to fulfill the requirements of the customer. That is one aspect. The second aspect they have to keep in mind is that fulfillment is not the only thing. The needs of customer are also changing. So fulfillment of the needs and keeping in view that the customer needs are changing. The customer might have signed up a contract with you last week, and today, in just a matter of 7 days, the customer needs would have changed. You have to take care of this. And the third thing, which is directly related to your question, is the experience. So fulfilling customer needs, taking care of the changes in needs, and third is the experience. So I always give a small example which goes like this. I mean, these days because of pandemic, we don't have a dine-in experiences. But if visualize, I mean, and hopefully, I mean, in few months we will again start to go to restaurants and have a dine-in experiences. So if you go to a restaurant, you order a dish, your fulfillment is there, and while your order is being prepared, you also ask the waiter to make some changes, make it less spicy or more spicy. So this is changing needs. And the third thing is that when you eat the dish and you come back home, maybe the place where you were sitting did not have a proper air conditioner, and you say that awful experience I had. While fulfillment happened, your changes which you wanted were incorporated, but somehow you did not get such a top-notch experience. So now it is very important that figuratively I am speaking, so you can also sort of learn from what I've just said, that it is not just the fulfillment of customers' needs, and not only additionally ensuring that the changes in those needs are met. You have to ensure that every interaction you have with your customer, whether the interaction is through internet or interaction is face to face, the customer experiences, there is a delight, the experience is a delight in terms of not only interaction, but all the solutions and services you provide to customers. So unless customer is delighted, unless customer is experiences in dealing with your company is good, I mean, you will grow when the customer experiences are pleasurable and they are positive. And that is something you have to strive for.
So as you talk about MSME in this answer, deriving from that, my next question is, could you explain the concept of future skills, how MSMEs can equip themselves with these?
Yeah, so future skills, I mean, we also call these as World Economic Forum, call these as global competencies. And one thing which surprises me and which will surprise all of you is that many researchers, and including World Economic Forum, a couple of years earlier said that by 2030, which is not far off, it's just 9 years, and it's not that I mean, the things are going to change overnight as we enter 2030, that 80 to 85% of today's job roles will vanish. So whether it's an MSME or it's a large company or it's any other institution, 80 to 85% industrial job roles which we see, they are going to vanish and they will be replaced by new age job roles, which means that MSMEs have to prepare themselves for the new age job roles. They have to prepare themselves with the future skills. And I categorize future skills, and this is not my own categorization. I mean, this is available everywhere. It's learning and innovation being the first category, which includes critical thinking, which includes having a problem-solving mindset. And the job roles are going to be built around these categories, which I am just narrating. And the second is leadership and life skills. And leadership skills means, for example, embracing digital transformation, being a global citizen. Maybe even a small MSME, you are exporting something to United States or to Singapore or Europe. So having a global mindset. And then a very, very important thing is that career navigation or business navigation in terms of building up resilience. See, pandemic has hit businesses very hard, but some of the businesses which have been resilient, they have rather now leveraged COVID, and we talk of COVID-induced transformation. So this is the second category of future skills. The third category of future skills include digital and AI capabilities, which include understanding of robotic process automation, which includes blockchain, which includes cyber security, which includes forensic audits. There are lot many things, which includes curriculum design. I mean, maybe as an MSME, you might be working with some university to digitize some content. So lot many such future skills which are built around these three pillars: learning and innovation, leadership and life skills, and digital and AI capabilities. So if you can also see that your venture, I mean, you are the captain of the ship, you are the leader of your venture. So what kind of skills would I require 3 years later, 5 years later? I mean, lot of things now. I gave the example of a restaurant. Now, because of dine-in is not happening, but the entrepreneurs have been very innovative. They've started home deliveries. Now, they cannot meet every customer, but there is a digital interface. You can go, either you can order through WhatsApp, or you can go to a website of their company or their restaurant, and you can order there. Or you can go through Zomato or Swiggy or this thing, which means the digital, that is what digital transformation all about. You have to think creatively. How I can, I mean, and now I see even small businesses, even small grocery shops, even small kirana stores, they have digitalized their businesses. And then they have come with the apps, they have come with a lot of digital interfaces with customers. So such creativity and such innovation will always help you. So you have to see that that I build my future skills in these areas, and then I identify priorities. And digital is not an optional. Digital now is not a choice that I may exercise this option or I may not exercise this option. It is must to have. But don't get consumed with the thought that this will be all about technology. No, but yes, your customer interfaces will be digital. The experiences, very superior experiences can be delivered through digital ecosystems. And so these are the things which you can start learning by yourself. And I mean, even if I can contribute in making even a 1% changes in your mindsets, and then I will think that I have done my job.
That's it. So, introspecting a bit on what you have talked about, this pre-pandemic, post-pandemic kind of things. My next question is that what's the state of digital economy of India, and what kind of opportunities are there for MSMEs and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I think this is digital economy is one of the fastest growing segments of our overall economy. Ministry of Electronics and IT, in partnership with McKinsey, had drawn a blueprint of India's digital economy 2018, which was also presented by Minister of Electronics and IT in Rajya Sabha in 2018. And there is a dream which all MSMEs should also have the same dream to contribute to India's digital economy. And the dream is that we reach a $1 trillion mark by 2025. And all of you will be surprised to know that we are growing at a CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, of more than 36% in digital economy. And currently digital economy's share is just like 6-7% of the overall economy. And by 2025, digital economy will have a share of 25%. So that will be more than 3x from the levels it is there today. And if further, I extrapolated as a part of my small research that by 2030, digital economy could be as high as 40% of the overall economy, which means almost half the traditional economy, half the digital economy. Now, in terms of opportunities, there are 30 sectors which Ministry of Electronics and IT have identified. And this report with McKinsey is freely available on internet. This is something like 250, 260. I don't remember the exact number, but somewhere around this number. The report is available as a PDF file. You can go through that report. Just Google search digital economy or Ministry of Electronics and IT and McKinsey. You will get this report. And there are various areas which includes skilling, which includes farming. You can sell your produce through digital platforms. You can even purchase the seeds which will give you more high yield through digital platforms. Then a lot of other areas in terms of e-commerce. Lot of I noted down some of the electronics, IT, healthcare, energy. Healthcare is one of the big areas now which has emerged post-pandemic. And in terms of the enablers, we have now approximately 70 crore internet connections, we've grown multiple times in last few years, and these internet connections are going to be 100 crores in next few years. So that digital adoption is happening. India is one of the fastest economies in terms of digital adoption. Indonesia is another one, which is India and Indonesia. One of the leaders in terms of digital adoption in the world, and that will help your ventures, because if the digital adoption is good, then you can also have digital interfaces. You can sell through digital platforms. You can serve your customers in a blended way, including digital for some of the processes. Social media, we are going to have almost 100 crore users, and you can leverage social media for expanding or for promoting your business. From 20 crore to currently 250 crore e-commerce customers or users in next few years. And I think you all know that we have now 90 crore bank accounts, which is going to further increase to 100 crores. And the digital transactions have already multiplied by 10x in last few years. Currently, we have 2,500 crore digital transactions, which happen every year. And this is going to go up to 10,000 crore transactions, digital transactions happening every year. So the point I'm making is that there are great opportunities. You can pick up in digital economy, which is going to support 6 to 6.5 million new age jobs, and all the new age jobs which I told you in terms of robotic process automation, in terms of blockchain, cyber security, in terms of a lot of designing, in terms of digitization of content for educational institutions, healthcare, a lot many things, Internet of Things. So lot many things are there. And there are, I mean, I would say that COVID has disrupted lives in a big way, and it has brought a lot of misery. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of misery around. But at the same point in time, this has also given huge boost to digital transformation. And the young technology entrepreneurs, and I will say every entrepreneur is a technology entrepreneur. So don't get intimidated by technology. Leverage technology in whichever small way. I mean, the extent to which you leverage technology could be different. I mean, somebody might be completely digital, somebody might be partially digital, somebody may have low level of digital in terms of their overall business model. But digital, before I conclude, is not an option. It has to be a strong pillar of your business model. So once you do that, I mean, you will see that your reach to customers will increase. Your reach outside the boundaries of the country will also increase. And I mean, if you are digital, you can sell anywhere in the world. Why not? But only thing is that you have to reconfigure your business models, and that is what the digital transformation all about.
Sir, as you mentioned, one of your answers that every organization has its own unique recipe for success. But what do you think is the one common measure that an organization should adapt in order to attain success?
Yeah, so I will say digital leadership, unless the leader, the founder, or the co-founders, and majority of the cases, the entrepreneurs who is a founder is also a CEO of the venture. He or she has to set the digital tone from the top. So it's not that some engineer would come and bring in the digital transformation. No, the person sitting at the top, she or he has to set the agenda for digital transformation. And if she or he has the enthusiasm, and she or he understands about digital transformation and the unique recipe, you start with small steps. No one is saying that you invest lakhs of rupees on some platforms, this thing. I mean, now, these days, everything is available in a SaaS model, software as a service model. You can buy, let's say you want to automate the process to serve, I mean, in terms of recording customer complaints. So you can take some CRM subscription, and rather than wasting a human effort on that, but when you have to speak with customers regarding their problem, then you can't let some automated message go to them from a portal. No, then you have to speak. And that's where what we call as man-machine collaboration. The process of capturing the complaint can be automated, can be digital, but the process of talking to customer, the emotive part, and understanding the pain points of customer, that you can't digitize, that you have to do yourself. So this is what digital transformation is. And this agenda has to be set up by the person at the top. It doesn't have to come from below.
Now, I want to ask a question regarding this business relationship kind of a thing, a bit into relationship kind of thing, that even a good business interaction might stop all of a sudden, right? So, what steps do you suggest to keep a common business communication intact with professionalism all the time?
Yeah, so I think, and I have also been an entrepreneur I've been an edtech entrepreneur. One thing, I think this is a very good question, Omkar, which you have asked, is that never burn the bridges, never give up hope on any prospect. I mean, I was in a B2B field, and I mean, when you are sort of interacting with your prospects who could be your customers, but sometimes you tend to lose hope because you spend so much time, as we say, song and dance in front of the prospects. I mean, 6 months you have spent, and still you are not able to convert that prospect into a customer. Do not, I mean, your emotions should never ever reflect in any way in terms of your talk with the prospect, who can be your customer today, who can be your customer tomorrow, who can be your customer 2 years later. So this is my first lesson, that never ever give up hope. If you are professional, it's possible that the prospect had explored this thing. The real need was not there, and it gave you a false sense of hope that I will be able to convert this prospect into customer. But maybe 6 months later, the real need has come now. Then all the good work which you have done, that prospect is going to remember, and sometimes you will be surprised that you will find a mail, or you will get a phone call or a WhatsApp message that we want to talk further. So never ever give up hope. And also, this is contagious. I mean, if you do not maintain the protocol, if you do not behave in a proper manner, then from one prospect it goes to another prospect, to another customer, to another customer. And as we say, I mean, it takes a lot of time to build reputations. And I mean, I would say that don't invest artificially in brand building. This is the way you build brand, because your customer should say that we swear by this brand, the kind of experience we get while dealing with them. So never ever give up hope on any prospect. And even if you've completed the order and the repeat order has not been given, it is not end of the game. Maybe a customer after 1 year, after 6 months might again. And if even if customer doesn't matter. I mean, you are living in an ecosystem, which is a connected ecosystem. Some of those customers will also talk to each other. Some of the prospects will also talk to each other. And keep the, I mean, an entrepreneur life is very tough. It's not easy. But then you have chosen an entrepreneurial life, and take things in your stride. At sometimes, I mean, sometimes things are bad, but sometimes things are good. I mean, before I finish, I give you I narrate a small incident. In 2016, I was helping Flipkart with their e-commerce academy, and I was in Bangalore. And I asked a young entrepreneur who had come from US after doing his MS, and he had set up his startup. So I asked him, how do you feel being an entrepreneur? And his reply, you all will love it. He said, it depends on which day you ask me. So someday I love entrepreneurship, and someday I don't love it because I get beaten up by customers. And some of the other days, I mean, I am on the top of the world. This seesaw battle will continue. You have to take things in your stride and don't be carried away. And entrepreneurship teaches you to become a better human being, become a more balanced professional. And that's all. I mean, of course, I can only say you have to practice. Okay, thanks.
That was a great answer. The ups and downs that we tackle on this road of becoming an entrepreneur. That's
Yeah,
actually the basis that how you tackle it actually, right?
yeah.
So coming to the last question of this questionnaire round, sir, can you please recommend our users and our viewers any 5 books which you support as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, if you want to refer any book?
Book. There are. I mean, many books. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't point, but I would say that sometimes, I mean, the appetite to read books has decreased, and sometimes, I mean, entrepreneurs are caught up so much in their work, and there I would like to say that maybe you can spend some part of the day, even maybe 30 minutes, in terms of watching some YouTube videos on entrepreneurship or reading something. You can subscribe to something. And another very important thing and very practical thing I would say is that cut down your WhatsApp social time, because that's a time waster. That's something which takes away your productive time. But of course, I mean, some time is fine. But in terms of books, I mean, there's a book from this guy Kawasaki, or lot many other books are there. But I mean, as a researcher, of course, I go through a lot of literature, lot of research paper. But as an entrepreneur, of course, and as a faculty also, I go through many books and all. But I won't recommend any specific book. I would say that one, your experience. Secondly, some small videos, because videos are some effective. A few 5 minute, 7 minute video. Even for example, this video which Omkar is going to publish on YouTube. Maybe even if you can, that's what I said. Even if I can cause 1% change in your a digital shift in your mindset, and I will say that my job is done. So I would say that rather than going through voluminous books, I mean, there are a lot of books on uh, Richard and Daughtry. There is a book on men and machines, humans and machines. How do they collaborate? But book reading means investing a lot of time, and entrepreneurs don't have that much time.
Yes, sir, sure. The viewers, all the viewers who are hearing out us today for this session of the podcast, I think they will write many of the points that you have noted out. It's just like the structure that you have phrased your answer. That was actually phenomenal. With this note, we have come to our end of this session, this rapid fire session. Actually, we are very much thankful to you, sir, to spare us this precious time of your busy and hectic schedule. Thank you for being a part of the Skill Valley podcast, sir.
Thanks, Omkar, and all the best to you and your team. And take care. Thank you.